So today we're talking trikes. Normally when people get into paramotoring, Footlaunch is the first thing they think of and trikes are secondary, but today I'm going to give you 10 reasons why you should choose a trike over a Footlaunch paramotor. This list could also be interpreted as 10 reasons why you should enter our current giveaway for the Nomadic Paramotor Trike. If you guys are unaware, I'm giving away this trike. It ends on the 16th, so there is less than a week left to get entered. How do you enter? Every $5 spent on the web store, first link in the description, gets you one entry to win. This Saturday, the 17th, I'm gonna be doing my first ever YouTube meetup at the Bad Apples Fly-In, 3 to 5 p.m. I'm going to be doing a live drawing at the event. So if you want to make it out there and you haven't RSVP'd, make sure you get RSVP'd as well. Anyway, let's start with reason number 1. And the first is the most obvious: necessity. For some people, choosing a trike is the only way they'll get into the sport, maybe because of a disability that keeps them from running whatsoever. A lot of older people will choose a trike as well, because obviously as you age, it gets harder to run, especially with 80 pounds on your back. And also for a lot of bigger guys, trikes are a necessary option. Unfortunately, Footlaunch paramotors are kind of designed for like the average body size, so bigger guys can find it hard to fit in the harnesses, the swing arms, while trikes are typically a lot bigger and give you a lot more flexibility as far as glider options and motor options and weight to carry a bigger load. Reason number 2 could be safety. There's a lot of reasons why a trike can be safer than a Footlaunch paramotor. First off, you have a giant roll cage around you, so if you're gonna crash into a tree, having a trike roll cage around you is gonna protect you more than a Footlaunch. Obviously, because you're not running, there's much less risk of twisting an ankle, breaking a leg, blowing on an Achilles, slipping on a landing, breaking a wrist, collarbone. The list goes on and on. Just eliminating the fact that you have to run with 80 pounds on your back is a huge safety advantage. There's 2 more things people might not really think of though, one of which is ground starting. I think ground starting a Footlaunch paramotor is probably the leading cause of injury in the sport because the throttle goes to wide open, motor tips over and people get chopped up. With a trike, that's a lot more manageable because you can safely ground start. What I do is I take the trike and put it up against the tire of my truck so that it really can't go anywhere. Then I can ground start the motor, get it warmed up, I can run it up to full power, and it's not going anywhere. Makes it a lot safer to ground start. Second, a trike gives you the option to land downwind in an emergency and not get injured. Because that trike can obviously roll faster than a normal person's running speed, if you ever had to, you can come in downwind without any real issues. On to reason number 3, and that's gonna be comfort. Again, because you don't have to run, all you do is just sit there and you don't really think about it, but once you get in the air, it's like, man, I'm not out of breath because I didn't just run 50 feet with 80 pounds on my back. You can do touch and goes all day long on a trike and never break a sweat. This is especially true in tricky launch situations like high density altitude or zero wind, where your run is normally a lot longer, but on a trike, it really doesn't matter. I think trikes also have a more relaxed flying style. Most trikes have a high hang point, so the glider is automatically less dynamic. A lot of them have like a reclined pilot seat, and all those things combined just kind of encourage you to fly more conservatively, so it's just a more relaxing, comfortable experience. Reason number 4 is a big one, probably my favorite, and that's the tandem capability. Many trikes offer you the ability to fly solo or tandem. Obviously you can foot launch tandem, but foot launching tandem is so much more dangerous and so much more sketchy than taking a passenger up on a trike. All you have to do is get your tandem exemption in a tandem glider, swap wings, swap hang points, and boom, you're taking someone up in the sky, which is like the coolest experience ever. Number 5 is gonna be the higher weight limit. When you think about a Footlaunch paramotor, you're basically limited to how much weight you're physically capable of carrying on your back. So everything has to be stripped down. But you add wheels, now the weight limit's so much higher, and it really just depends on the glider rating. What this means is you can fill your fuel tank all the way up and not care that that's extra weight. Normally on a Footlaunch paramotor, I choose the least amount of fuel possible to keep the load light. It means you can add camping supplies if you want to go out and land somewhere and spend the night, and you don't have to worry about carrying your tent and your sleeping bag and all that because the trike's doing it. You can also add as many accessories to your trike and not care about the weight, like giant strobe lights. You can add instruments, a full cockpit. You can mount an iPad up to the thing if you want. You can carry multiple reserves and not care about the weight. As long as you stay under the 254 mark for FAR 103, you can add as much weight as you want. Another big one is you can choose an E-Start engine. A lot of times on Footlaunch paramotors, I don't choose the E-Start option because I want the lightest possible weight, so you just get pull start. But on a trike, it doesn't matter, so why not get E-Start and pull start? Number 6 is going to be that trikes are easier to learn. Now, I think both Footlaunch and trikes present their own challenges for learning, but overall, if I had to choose one over the other, I would say trikes are a little bit easier. Mainly because the hardest part, in my opinion, of learning to fly a paramotor is going to be the launch. There's so much going on. There's the A's, the brakes, the risers in your hands, then the throttle, the engine banging on your back, then you're running, you have to sidestep, you have to navigate, you have to look up at the wing. The launch is overwhelming. But on a trike, it simplifies things because it takes away all the running. So really all you have to do is set your hands in the right position to hold the A's forward. You have the brakes, you have the throttle, and then you just hammer power. Now the trike's rolling, and there's a lot less that you have to think about because you're not moving your entire body across the ground. There's also a few cool tools that people use for learning to fly trikes that make it easier and safer. One of which is a wheel-driven trike, which doesn't ever leave the ground, but instead of being pushed by the propeller, it eliminates the propeller and it uses like a scooter motor to push the trike forward. This allows you to train taxiing and the inflation of the wing without any risk of wrapping your glider up in the propeller because there is no propeller. Also, I've seen trikes that use a rear cage for training purposes so that it's much harder to suck lines or your glider into the prop. Next, trikes are more capable in all seasons, specifically wintertime. If you're someone that lives in the Arctic or northern Canada or maybe Alaska and most of your flying is in a colder season, the trike gives you a lot of cool options. First, you can add skis like I've done to launch from snow. Next, for staying warm, you can add an accessory like a giant windshield to keep the airflow off your body and keep you warmer. Because again, weight doesn't matter, so why not add a giant windscreen on it? And if you want to go crazy and luxury, you can add giant battery packs and run heated gear, heated socks, heated gloves. Why not? It's going to keep you warm and the weight doesn't matter. Also, if you're someone who flies a lot of early mornings in Florida when the grass is super wet and dewy, now you're not running through the field drenching your feet before you take off, and then you go fly around with wet feet and they freeze. On a trike, you're going to keep your feet a lot drier because you're just sitting there, not dragging your feet through the grass. Next reason is going to be because trikes are just unique. Like I said, a lot of people view them as a secondary option, but in reality, they're just as cool in their own right, and it's this whole unexplored territory for a lot of Footlaunch pilots that with a little bit of transition training, now you have an entire different type of craft that you can fly that's completely unexplored and new and fresh and fun. Number 9 reason is going to be touch and goes. I know Footlaunch paramotors have foot drags for their own right, but trikes have something different, which is touch and goes. I never realized it until I started flying trikes, but touch and goes are actually so much fun. I could just do a traffic pattern all day and try to get it dialed in so nice where you grease your landing on the rear wheels, then set down the nose wheel, roll, and peel off the ground super clean. It's just really satisfying and really fun to do touch and goes. The final reason is going to be less cost in the long run as far as damages go. I think in Footlaunch paramotoring, it's pretty much inevitable that at some point you're going to botch a takeoff or botch a landing, slip. It might not be a big deal, but you're going to break a prop, and that's $300 to $400 to replace. Depending on what paramotor you're flying, it could be something like a Scout, and if you slip a little worse, you break the cage or the hoop, you got spars to replace, now you're up into the thousands of dollars to repair your paramotor on just a simple slip and fall. I would say in the long run, it's much harder to do damage to a trike. Of course, you can bounce a landing, but it's a lot more forgiving than slipping and hitting a spinning propeller on the ground. So that's my 10 reasons why you should choose a trike over a Footlaunch paramotor and the 10 reasons why you should enter the giveaway. Now that the video is over, if you haven't entered yet, be sure you take advantage of this opportunity because the giveaway is over on the 16th. Visit the web store, check out our new designs like the Miss Risky, place an order, and stay tuned to see if you win. Hope you guys enjoyed. Till the next one, have fun, fly safe, peace.